Hey everybody, it's your boy Lem here with another episode of Catfish. We'll be breaking down what's happening between Michael and Chanelle, and I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get into it. Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Now this is a story all about how my
Life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute and just sit right there. Tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. Hey. What is this, like circa 1990?
When I was born.
Yeah, this John dude up here. When I was in diapers.
I actually owned all 6 seasons of the DVD.
All 6 seasons?
West
Really?
Philadelphia, born and raised.
What?
The playground is where I spent
Most of my days chilling out, maxing and relaxing, all cool, and I'm shooting some b-ball outside the school. When a couple of guys who us are no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight, my mom got scared. She said, "Your mom would try to tear that cover." Man, that's what it is.
Let's go.
Fresh Prince,
Let's
son.
go.
You know what it is.
You cannot just sit there and just listen to it.
I know you have to. You have to do it.
You got to
do
join
it.
in, which I hope everybody at home and tune in.
Of course. Everybody, it is the one and only Catfish After Show. I am your host, Lem Gonsalves, and we representing Philly tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get into this episode, which took place in Philly. As always, you can find me on social media at The Poet Saint all day, every day. Of course, I got my boys here.
Yep.
To my direct left is none other than Jimmy V. Bear. What's up, baby?
Yeah. What's the word, brothers? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Be Your Own Dad. Find me there.
Find him there. And, of course, my boy just booked a commercial nationwide.
We working over here.
This is how we do over here, son.
Yeah.
It's my boy Nino Llanera.
Oh, thanks for that shine, Lem. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Nino. You can catch me at Nino Llanera on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And yeah, let's visit the west side of Philly.
Yeah,
How
let's
about
do
that?
it.
Oh,
I love
do
Philly. Y'all been to Philly?
I have.
I have not. I've heard about the cheesesteaks.
But you're from the East Coast, though.
I am from the East Coast.
You didn't get over that way. I love Philly. I've been there a few times.
I've driven through there.
Yo, city of brotherly love for sure.
Yes.
Philly cheesesteak on point.
Where did you go?
Okay.
Do you remember where you went?
Man, it's been so long.
There's a two that's right across from each other, and I just flipped the coin and I went to the one to the left. I don't
Really?
remember.
I know I went to one of the
Yeah.
ones that's like labeled. I think it's
Yeah.
one of those that you said on the whatever that street is
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
there.
They're like across from each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, real close. But
Yeah.
like lines out the door.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Liberty Bell. Shout out to Liberty. That's dope.
Hey,
That's
there we
dope.
go.
That's
Matter of
dope.
fact, Kevin Hart, who's been killing the game,
that's
he's
right.
actually
Yeah.
from Philly
He
too.
is from Philadelphia.
Will
Shout out.
Smith,
Yeah.
Meek Mill.
Yeah, shout
I
out
still
to-
got love
yeah,
for you,
yeah.
Meek, but you know how it
nice
goes.
of
You know?
you.
Hey, but let me tell you though, even after that whole Meek Mill situation, when freaking Creed came out,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
dude,
they show love.
that was dope.
Right.
That was
That's right,
dope.
right, that's
Like,
right.
everybody forgot about that because that scene in that movie when he's running and they got the dudes on his
And
Come on,
that
man.
is serious over
Yeah,
there too.
exactly.
Every Sunday
Oh, yeah.
they do the dirt bikes and wheelers. Oh yeah.
No, they went straight authentic. They went straight authentic.
Over there's popular.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so this is the episode Catfish. We got Brother Michael.
Brother Michael, that's right.
21 years old.
Yeah.
Like we said, lives in Philly.
Which, I'm so sorry, but I just had to say he looks grown as hell.
Yeah.
He does.
Well, they even said they're like, you 21 or
You sure you 21?
41? Like, no, he did
yeah.
look super grown. Voice super deep.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. That was crazy.
I need a little subtitle.
Right, I know.
I was just like, what you said? What was that? It's so deep. I was like, what you said?
Yeah, I know. He did have the Barry White thing going on. This is interesting. I don't know if this has ever happened, but his brother made him write in, which is interesting. We did have one where there was a mom situation. So the daughter wrote in for the mom because the mom was getting catfish. In this case, it was the brother. He also has a child, which why his voice is deep, I don't know. I'm just saying. And so he's talking about a girl he met online named Chanelle, which at this point in time was about 8 months ago.
Right.
And this is the twist of it. It's, of course, he's, they always talk about, the person and they're wanting to meet them. But in this case, she's actually missing because... Missing, right, of course.
On a milk carton.
Right, but the
No,
bottom
that's
line
right.
is that she kind of fell off and hadn't contacted him. He reached out. She hasn't got back to him. And I think at this point, it had been like a month or so.
Right.
And then he decided, I want to, kind of find out what's going on. So that being said, what did you guys think first off?
First
like
off,
right out the gate.
So I like this because it had more layers to the situation.
Sure,
Last week was a little
sure.
bit more straightforward, and it was cool to watch. It was easy to follow. This one was just a little confusing.
Yeah.
In and out, trying to figure everything out with the multiple names that were thrown or whatever.
Yeah,
And I was just like,
yeah.
how is this all going to connect? Like I couldn't picture it in my mind how everything was going to connect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there were just too many names going on or whatnot. But since we're talking about it as a kid, this just popped in my head. Imagine him singing a lullaby to this little kid.
Oh, God. Ladies, go to sleep. I can't even go out
just randomly.
Right.
But yeah, no, I thought it was a cool episode. I really liked it, and I liked the complexity that it ended with.
Yes,
it was different. Here's the
Right.
difference that we wanted to
Right.
see again.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes. And speaking of that, I'm sorry. Much
Go
like
ahead.
we spoke about before, every episode this season thus far has been different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is
Absolutely.
exactly what we want as
Exactly.
as a viewer. So
No, and I think I've said this every week. I shout out to MTV for, in this particular season, this being the 5th season, actually putting in some new things and new scenarios and kind of making us, think about
Right.
what's going on. And I think too, because most of the time, the catfish people, or the person being catfish, it is truly not the person that they're talking to. In most cases, a couple of cases it is. In this case, it's actually not so much people that are strangers to them, but in a couple of cases, these are people that they know.
Right.
Like what was it? The last episode, the episode before last, it was somebody he was already had fooled with before. That was catfishing. In this case, it's the same, which we'll find out, but talk about. But it's the same situation. Somebody that he had history with, that he knows, that's catfishing him. So I think it's very interesting to basically see someone, or to be catfished by someone that you already know.
Right.
It's like, what is the point?
people can't let go.
That's true, and I feel like there
That's
might
what
have
I
been
think.
there might be more layers to the situation that they never really uncovered. But that's just so weird to me that she wanted to come at him sideways like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not just come directly when nothing was wrong. Remember the episode before last. That guy with that obsessive girl. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
That's
So
right,
we found
yeah.
out that he was
Sure.
actually messing with her
Right.
and all this other stuff.
Right.
I
Right.
feel like there's something that we're missing. Like I wasn't satisfied totally. with
Well,
what
in this
happened.
case, I think that was because the episode was so convoluted with things. It was really, to fit it all in an hour, I think it was difficult because, as you saw, there wasn't really much of a follow up.
Right.
They just kind of they didn't talk to him afterwards.
That's right. That's right.
You didn't see that happen, and so I think because they fit so much in to trying to tie the story together with all the characters that it ended up being, and all that going on. So I just think it's interesting to basically know somebody, and you already know them, and you're trying to come at them obviously at a different angle because you think that this is the way to get to them.
Yeah.
You get to them, and they're invested in someone else. They're invested in a character,
Right.
and then you're exposed, and then now they don't trust you
Yeah.
because in both situations it was like, no, I mean, it could have worked. Like even in the one 2 weeks ago, it might have worked if he came the right way,
Right.
or she came the right way. But in this case, like I said, there was no beef. There was no problem. They were just young, and then they fell off, and then she sees him again. It's like, oh my gosh, I want to holler at him.
Right.
Which I find it interesting too. They never gave us a reason why the relationship before it never worked out.
Right,
They
'cause it was only 2 months,
they were
right?
just
Yeah, but that's the
together
thing.
for
I think
2 months.
there was no reason to give. I mean, you're talking about 16-year-olds.
Right.
That was a short amount of time. It's
That's
like,
true.
oh,
That's
what's up? Da, da, da. You talking? You're in high school. A high school relationship. Come on now. If you're in a
Matter
high
of
school
fact, a
relationship,
high school relationship for 2 months,
Yeah,
that may
that's-
seem like a long
that's
time.
a big
you know?
time.
I know, because there's only that
Yeah.
like 0.200% that has been together for all 4 years of high school.
Not-
or 2
right,
years, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah,
Super small,
rarely
minuscule, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like-
So yeah, you said 2 months is like a year in a real relationship. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think they dwelled into that because it was just, we just fell off. We just lost touch.
It's not puppy love.
Whatever.
That's right.
But she should have
Sips tea
came
over here.
She should have came correct. And we'll find out why. So
Yeah.
he's talking about Chanelle, and one of the things he mentioned is that they did video chat, but there was no picture.
Right.
Which was creepy.
Very creepy.
I think I've jumped. If that was me, I'm saying you better show
Yeah.
yourself, or I'm not
Well,
calling
I
back.
think what they showed was just a mock version.
Right.
It wasn't real, but still, that is.
It was probably
kinda
like
weird.
that. I would be with a flashlight in my room like, nah. Let me see you. Let me see you.
Yeah, no, that was weird.
Turn on some lights, woman.
Right. No, that was really weird. And then he was saying that she was very positive and supportive, and then probably 99% of these cases, these people are going through something or are dealing with something either currently or in the past, and this person is there to comfort them and be there for them. And that's how they kind of get wrapped into the long distance relationship with somebody they haven't met before. And in this case, like I said, she randomly stopped replying, which is why it generated concern. Also, there was nothing posted on Instagram to also further, detail like, oh, is something wrong?
Right.
Is there, what's going on? And so for him, he explained that 2 people died in his life, hence, why he was vulnerable.
Right.
And she was there for him for that. And like I said, his brother Sid, shout out to Sid.
Yep.
He's all about like, oh, she's fake. You know, he's definitely, which is why he was like, yo, you need to call Nev and Max and let's really find out what's going on, because they will definitely get to the bottom of it. The only thing that I will say about this for our brother here, Michael, is the stuff that they did, Michael could have done. Now, granted, Michael may not have seen the show, may not, because his brother was the one that coaxed him into doing that. But literally, like, they found all the information from, the pictures, doing the picture finder search app, and then also with the phone number.
Right.
So these are both things that he could have kind of figured out. And then once he saw, granted, if he would have found all that, it might have been more confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we didn't find out who it was until the friend brought her. So all he would have done is saw the friend who had no knowledge of. So it still might have been confusing, but I'm like, come on, man, you could at least found out something.
Right. One thing I did like that both Nev and Max did, and the episode actually showed them actually, at the table for a while looking. They looked over police records, blah blah blah, and I just like that they finally showed how long they actually take compared to just skipping over it and saying, oh, all we did was put the picture in there and then boom.
Oh, yeah.
So I think if he did the research himself, it definitely would have took longer, because we saw how long it took.
Right.
Nev
And
and Max.
I think if he did the research, he might have stopped where I think Nev or Max was the one that realized that this one person's liking the same photo. You know what I mean?
Which is what,
you know what I mean? Which is what led them to everything, minus Kim. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I think he was able to. He would know for sure that it was a catfish because he would be able to find Ashley. Is that her name? Ashley's picture or whatnot. The actual person who's portrayed as Chanelle. I think he would find that, but he would still get stuck somewhere. So because they went a little bit deeper into the situation.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I guess I can't hate too hard because they did do a lot. Even it still was a short amount of time. He had his, the whole time he's talking to her. But I think there are things that they will do because this is their job. This is their show, and their show, part of the show is to find out this information. So, and they're privy. I mean, the resources, they probably have a little bit more as far as resources go. Maybe whether it's, I don't know, passwords or something that they could,
super background checks.
I don't know. I'm sure they got
clearance.
I'm sure they have a little bit more than the average person. Not that they're FBI clearance, but it is maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, than a 21-year-old / 41-year-old.
41-year-old.
Like he's not 21. Like, let's be all the way real. Like, come on, you're not 21. Let me see
your ID. Right?
Yeah, I wanted to
at
see
least
that
25.
Yo, man, I mean his face. Like he had the face where like, come on, 21, son.
He was that kid who went through puberty at age 9. Everyone
exactly.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Were you held back?
Like, what? You graduated at, exactly. Right. No. So we find out more about, Chanelle, and found out that she's from West Philly, so they're from the same place, but was going to school in North Carolina. And so, like you said before, the pictures did find out belonged to Ashley Trent, who was a model. So that was kind of easy. So
I
then
wish we talked to her too.
I know. She was pretty. She was pretty. Yeah, she was pretty. So she was a model, and that's where the pictures were got. So that was pretty easy. And then they found out the number belonged to a Kim, who also went to high school in Philly. So all of these people are local. And this Kim lady has a daughter named Stacy, and Stacy works at Temple Hospital, where the Temple reference comes because
Temple University,
Temple University. And so Stacy has children, and then they find out, like we said, the person that is liking all these pictures is Ilaria _95. That's the profile name, and it's liking all these Instagram pictures. And then she, in further research, is a nurse at Temple. So there's definitely a connection going on.
Some type
of sense. Everyone seems to be local. It's just a matter of like who is what, like who's the person being catfish, or who's the catfish person. And that's where I think it was the hard part. It's like it's not all of these people. But somehow, some person in there is doing it. So, Neve actually got a text after calling and left a message saying to not contact again. This is when it got crazy. Because he does what he does, right? He takes the number that is given to him by the person being catfish and he calls. Sometimes they answer and then he talks to them and kind of gets them like, hey, you want to meet? In this case, they didn't answer. So then it was a voicemail situation. He left a message. But then the text back was very aggressive.
Super aggressive.
Very aggressive. And it's like, do not contact here. I don't want to be part of this mess.
Yes.
Like, and it seemed personal. It wasn't like a wrong number.
No, mad and salty.
Yeah. Like it seemed like they knew what was going on and they were just done with it.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting because I was like, okay, is this the person? Did you guys think it was the person? I didn't think it was a person, but I definitely was like, okay, they have to know this person.
Right. It had to be connected. It wasn't just a new number. Because, like, no one would be that aggressive to tell you, especially after that message that this is catfish. I would be like, hey, Neve, what's going on? My name's Nino. This is interesting. Exactly. I'm in your AfterBuzz TV show.
This is interesting.
What I mean? Like after show on AfterBuzz TV.
Right.
I would be trying to, like, find out what happened. I'd be curious. You know what I mean? You don't get a text from, like, Neve or Max every day.
Right.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, you know that
Or
there was
have you,
some.
Lem?
All right.
Well, you know,
Aren't you
me and
supposed to
Neve-
share a story?
I mean, we
Yeah,
talk.
that's right,
We
that's
talk
right.
every couple.
That's
What?
right.
Excuse me.
I got you, viewers.
Yeah,
I got
Yeah,
you.
The viewers wanted to hear your story
There's
still.
no story.
Oh, yeah.
Negative. No story. So yeah, I agree that there was something. She was connected somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
She was definitely connected somehow. They also,
I just wanted to say, at this point, we know there is an actual story. There's actually something going on.
Right.
Because up until we received that message, they knew absolutely nothing.
Right. They were
So-
kind of like question mark.
Oh, yeah, they
what's
were in
gonna
the-
happen.
Exactly. So until she said, I don't want anything to do with this mess, is like, okay, now we know we have an actual
Right.
situation.
But the other thing, the interesting part was it wasn't until they got a hold of Laria, because Laria was the one that broke the case, so to speak.
Right.
Yes,
Because
yes.
really, the person saying, I don't want to be part of this mess, they had nowhere to go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
all they had. So it was like they weren't willing to talk to them.
Right.
They were done with it. So they weren't going to get anything from that person, whether they were the person actually the one catfishing or not.
Right.
So they were stuck. So, luckily Laria was basically like, oh yeah, what's up? What you need? And she's like, okay, I know Chanelle, let me holla at you. So
Right.
then she was like, she said that she would meet up with them. So this is where it gets more interesting.
Right.
Because they go, and I like where they went in Philly.
That park was
because
nice.
that park was fresh. That park was fresh.
small park, yeah.
And I feel like I've been there, and but I like how they're like,
With
oh, they
who?
like the dramatics. Excuse me?
With who?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm trying to get some stuff out
I
of you.
said, why? Can we stick? Can we stick to what's going on
see
here?
this? See the little red underneath
Jeez.
the Okay.
What's going on?
Let's keep on going. My bad.
Viewers, can you help me please and tell them to stop and stay on track? Thank you.
Viewers, if you'd like to hear more of Lem's story, type 1.
Yes, exactly.
Negative. Disconnected.
All right.
Let me give you one in bad numbers. So I want to tell you, stop contacting Lem. I'm tired of this mess.
Right.
Leave him alone.
This is a Spokio. This is not. This is
Right. So they at this park, right? And so they're all waiting there, and they're going to type 1.
Engineer wants to know.
Engineer
wants to
what's
know.
going on. That's hilarious. So yeah, they're at this park, right? And so they're waiting on them to come. Really beautiful park, but it's like very dramatic, looking. It almost looks like an episode of like Law and Order or like something like that.
Yeah.
They're waiting,
Boston
for the
Legal.
kid. Yeah, exactly. So they come up. So they see this, young lady coming up. She's walking up, and it's clearly the person who is, Laria, who they've seen the pictures, the profile, or what have you. So she stands there. She starts talking, and then I thought she was going to be like, okay, I'm the one that's been catfished.
Right.
That's what I thought was going to happen. And so she says, they're asking about Chanelle. And she's like, oh yeah, I know Chanelle. And,
That's my
she
best
really
friend.
right, it's my best
Which
friend.
the dramatics was
Yeah.
real at this
It was-
point.
well,
Oh
of
my
course,
gosh.
the editing.
Like they dragged it out so
the
much.
The editing is increasing it too,
Yeah.
the music and stuff. So I don't know if it was that dramatic in person, but she says, she cares for Michael. She's like, oh yeah, Chanelle really cares for Michael, and she has a lot going on, which is why she disappeared. And so then the bomb is dropped, and she's like, well, I have something to tell you. And then that's when I thought it was going to be like, I'm her. But then he didn't say anything about the voice. So I'm like, wait, is it going to be her? What's going on? So then all of a sudden she's like, I brought her with me. And so I'm like, wait, what?
I was like, this is a scary movie.
Right.
Don't come to the car. Something's gonna pop out, and you're gonna be done.
Let me tell you what I thought. And this is because I'm maybe a weirdo or what. But I thought when she went to the car, she was gonna bring out a dummy. Like it's like a
Oh no, no.
That is perfect.
Dude,
That's hilarious.
Because, well, first of all, some of these people are crazy, right?
That's
They are
funny.
on,
Not
you know,
Annabelle.
on the
Annabelle can
edge.
stay in the car.
I'm just telling you. But really though, and I just thought it was hilarious because the way she said, like, I brought her with me,
Right.
You know, and it was like, wait, what? Like, okay, well, let's go find out. And like, they go to the car, and then of course dramatics, and I'm like, she's gonna bring out a dummy, and she's gonna change her voice, and she's gonna be like, it's me, Michael. Yeah, exactly. Or something. I just thought that for a quick second.
I'm glad Neve did say, let's wait here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of all surrounding the car. Like, that's a safe distance. It's about 20 feet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're
Exactly.
good. But how if she just decided just to change a wig and she was just like, I'm Chanelle?
I'm telling you, like, I thought it was
That'd
going to
been
be
a
on some
Catfish
crate.
first. That'd been
I thought it was
funny.
going to be on some crate because they had one time I remember, and this freaked me out when it was a guy being catfished, and he was being catfished by, you know, he was in love with this other guy, and so, but the whole time it was his best friend who was a female, and the thing is, the way she got him is she was able to disguise her voice, and so, and the person, she said Tony, and so she comes clean, you know, they find out or whatever, and she comes clean. She's like, it's been me. Da, da, da. She's like, what? And so Neva's like, how did you do that? She's like, in my Tony voice. And then dude, like right on camera, I was like, oh, like I got crazy freaked out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why, like, you watch the show, I'm like, yo, she's
you
coming
like
out
with
with
popcorn,
I'm
like,
telling you, she's coming out with a dummy. She's got a wig jumping off.
Yeah.
She's got an alter. I'm thinking it's something. So she basically brings out, you know, who is Chanelle. Turns out it's actually Christina.
Right.
And you see Michael's disgust because he's like, "Oh, this chick right
I
here."
definitely know that bitch.
He's
He's
like,
voice, but yeah, he was mad.
He was upset. And it was also a similar situation when we saw 2 weeks ago when it was the girl that he knew, and he's like, "Man, what?
It's like,
What are you
what?
talking about?"
That's why I feel like there's another layer that we're missing somewhere
Right.
because like
Right.
he gave that same kind of like disgust kind of face in a sense or whatnot. But I could just be thinking, you know, like way further. You know what I mean?
Well, what's interesting is too, like, you know, they said that they didn't end on any bad terms,
Right.
and you know, of course, it just fizzled out or whatever. But when he saw, I'm just curious as to the upset. Like, of course, you're going to be upset because you were lied to. That's the initial, I think, reaction because you finally are confronting with the person that says they were somebody else, and they're looking at them and right below, right? But I think. Furthermore, I think that also it wasn't like, because you could be like lied to, but then also like, dang, you got me, but wait, I like you. Type
Right,
thing.
yeah.
So initially you're going to be like upset, but then after a while you're going to be like, but dang, why did you just tell me that, you know, it was you, and because we're cool and all this kind of stuff. Because if you think about it, after all that was said, he was like ready to go.
He was
like,
yeah.
he was like, yo, I'm out. Let's he didn't want to talk much, and then, you know, usually they try to bring after the fact, usually the next day,
and he
was
still
like,
was not trying to.
I'm cool.
I'm
cool.
good.
I'm
Yeah.
cool.
He whistled for a cab.
Yeah.
I'm
He was-
alright.
he was for a cab.
Yeah.
Right. So he was done. So I'm thinking if there's, like you said, more to the story, if maybe there was bad blood between them or what have you, and it wasn't maybe as innocent as it's been kind of portrayed.
Which is what I really wanted them to dive into more is why things didn't work out the first time.
Right.
Because they kind of forgot that piece, and that just kind of says, okay, even though she did all this, what is it that he just doesn't want any type of relationship with this person here?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, here's this person and all the stuff that they did to get to him, by using someone else's phone, by, of course, pretending to be someone else and carrying this on for 8 months, that may be a telltale sign of what she was really like. Because we find out later that she had some issues, which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah.
But it was to do all of that, something is not right when you could have easily, and he said that they were cool and she didn't have to do all of that. Now that's what he's saying. Again, you know, actions speak louder than words, but I think he was more pissed off that he was lied to.
Right, and like they mentioned, you know, he's a nice, sensitive type of dude. You know what I mean? He's been through a lot recently or whatnot. So it just could really be his emotions playing out. Like, I gave you my all, and this is what's going to happen. I can't really forgive you at this moment in time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. So we get a chance to talk to Christina. We just mentioned that, you know, they did follow up with her the next day. He wasn't having it, so they went alone. And Christina explains why she made the fake profile, and she mentioned postpartum depression. which is a real thing. And a lot of women go through that, after delivering. And of course, that means that she obviously has a child. And so that was a situation where, and she saw his picture and was like, oh my gosh, I remember him and we were cool. Let me reach out. But in her state that she was in, instead of reaching out as herself, which she should have done, and that would have been a better situation. She created this fake profile, pretended to be someone else, and reached out to him, and that's what she said. And I thought it was very interesting because, you see this kind of situation, and after they kind of pour out their, heart and everything, usually Nev and Max are like, well, look, you just got to make it right. You got to, whatever. And it was interesting because Max...
Not having it.
He wasn't having it.
No.
He said, I don't know if you should reach out to him.
Right.
Because her thing was like, I got this off my chest. I'm going to hit up Michael and we're going to make it better and I'm going to let him know, da-da-da. And he's like, I don't know if you should do that.
And the music that came with it, though. The music that came with it, I was like, she's going to flip out.
Right.
She's going to pull a knife out from underneath the couch. And it's about to be over. I was like, well, this episode was just creepy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that in the beginning. The music made everything creepier and whatnot.
Right.
But that scene right there, I was like, I was kind of waiting in
Very
anticipation
for what she's going to do.
Yeah.
And I think she probably was taken aback by the statement.
Right.
Because I think she was just like, okay, now it's out in the bag and, he's not, he's cool. And obviously, we had something going on. I'll just, tell him I'm cool and then we'll just maybe make something work, and I think she was thinking like, yeah, do that, girl. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. We'll reach out and we'll follow up with you in a couple of months and see what happened. No, he was just like, nah,
Not a good idea.
not a good idea.
Even Nev, too. Nev was like, I don't think you should do it.
I don't think you should do it. And I think it's good to show that, it's because the thing is, when you do this and you catfish someone, you're going to hurt them. I don't care how strong of a person you are. And a lot of times these people, and we've said it several times, that they're in a vulnerable situation. So they're even maybe weaker, than what they normally would be because of their situation.
Right.
Yeah. Vulnerable. I shouldn't say this term weak, but just vulnerable, more vulnerable. And so when you do that to them and then they confide in you and then they trust you and then all of a sudden you're found out, you don't make the effort. You're found out, you're discovered. And in her case, she actually stopped because she was just like, I'm tired of, playing the role.
Right.
Or her friend that was her phone.
Her poor friend.
Her friend probably aided that, was like, nah, you're not using my phone no more, homie.
Right.
Like, this is stupid. And so now she's just like, okay, well, it's out in the bag. I really like him. Let me go in. And they're like, nah.
We actually learned that she had a backup plan. I marked it down here on my notes. She said, I wanted to warm him up with Chanelle, then come through as Christina.
That's right. She did say that. She did say that.
You know what I mean? Like it was gonna be all good. Like if he was that invested with Chanelle for 8 months, like what makes you think he would you come in as Christina?
Just hop on,
you know what I mean?
Well, I think too. I can see what she was saying. I think she was gonna be like, play like she's pretend like she's Chanelle, do that whole thing, and then fall off. And like what she's did, and then ask Christina to be like, hey, what's up? Remember me?
Right.
All the while she's been talking to him, and then when he's like, hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, this girl, oh really? Forget about her.
Right.
Let's get something.
Like Chanelle was supposed to be the prep for the situation, find out if he's single, find out what's going on with him.
Right.
So when she comes in as herself, Christine, like she kind of has like all the eggs in the basket, where she could just choose to pop out when she wants. You know what I mean?
And guess what? That's a terrible idea.
And it didn't work.
That's
so
a
don't
terrible
do it.
idea.
Right.
So anybody trying to do that, please don't, because it's not going to work. And she could have even been coming from the high school self, because that's what she knew him, and that's definitely a high school move.
Right.
Definitely a high school move to be like, yeah, how my friend talk to you, and then find out, and then I'm gonna jump in or whatever. Like, nah.
Or then pass this note and circle yes or no.
Like elementary.
I remember those days.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a situation where, look, it was just a bad way of doing things. And basically, you shot yourself in the foot. And I don't think you should reach out. And the thing is, and I don't think it was in a situation where they're like, oh, you should not be together at all. I think it was like, let him reach out to you if he wants to.
Right.
Like, if he decides, now he knows who you are. If he decides that, he feels like he wants to pursue something with you, let that happen. Do not force yourself upon him, because it's going to be all bad.
And he said he would. You know what I mean? Like he, after learning about her situation, the postpartum, like he understood a little bit.
Yeah.
And he'll reach out if he wants to reach out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's exactly it.
He's not gonna.
I don't see it happening. I mean, he seems like a good guy. he's 41, he has a child, like he has a lot going for her. But no, really, like I think it's kind of like one of those things where like you kind of really messed it up.
Right.
So what else would you do if we were in a relationship and something went awry? Would you do something like that again? And I think like it's that way for a lot of these situations. When they turn out to be actually the person it is, you know, it's like, well, why did you have to lie, or why did you have to do these things, you know? And very rarely does it like, well, you know, this happened, and you know, okay, well, let's start something. That happens very rarely because the trust is broken.
Oh yeah,
the trust is broken.
It's
in that
almost
case.
like you cheated on me, but you didn't.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. But ultimately, like I said, Michael said he was cool. Maybe something will happen. Like they didn't have like a follow up on this particular episode, so we don't know what happened 2 months later. My thing is the reason why they didn't do that is because nothing happened.
Right.
There was nothing to report.
The way
Michael was
left
done.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he was just like he was, and like I said, based on his reaction at the park, I think once that happened, he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. So that's been our show, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we are here every single week. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe to AfterBuzz always on all of our social media outlets, especially on YouTube, so you can see all of our videos. Make sure you comment. Let us know what you think. If you have any opinions about what goes on, what we talk about, we want to hear it, you know, and Jimmy will reply to you. That's what'll happen.
Yes,
Jimmy
right.
will reply.
Which last week I opened up about that. I do struggle with a stutter, and someone made a comment and said that they don't even notice it. And shout out to you, because that just made me more comfortable up here. So once again, thank you, and make sure you guys comment as well.
That's what it is. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me always at The Poet Saint on social media. Jimmy, where can they find you, sir?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Be Your Own Dad. I do have a blog which I update daily, so stay up to date. BeYourOwnDad.blogspot.com.
Nice. And like always, guys, all the platforms at Nino Llanera: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, all that good stuff. I gotta follow you, Lem, on Snapchat.
Yeah, follow me.
Yes,
That's
I do.
dope.
I'm doing it.
And don't think I forgot. I think the viewers definitely want to hear your stories. Maybe next week.
I don't know what you're talking about.
One. Type one.
Type one.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.